Welcome to our latest Wandering Walks Wonder adventure. Today we're headed to Lee Summit, Missouri to see the Missouritown Living History Museum. During this video we're going to get a chance to see what a progressive farming community looked like during the mid-1800s. All told, there's about 30 acres here that we'll see. Missouritown is composed of more than 25 buildings that date from 1820 to 1860. This Living History Museum uses original structures, furnishings, as well as equipment. Also along the way, we'll probably see some people dressed up in 19th century clothing, and we'll also see authentic fields, garden crops, and some rare livestock breeds. This first home that we'll see on our tour is called the Webb House. It was constructed around 1848 and originally set in Bates City in Lafayette County, Missouri. If you take a look at the railings along the back porch here, this is a great example of what's called Steamboat Gothic architecture. This particular building has been going under renovation, but it is open during special events here. We're headed towards the Murphy Barn. This building was constructed around 1860, and it was actually located not too far from here in Lee Summit. This barn features a drive-through center for unloading wagons and provides daytime shelter for the flock of sheep that we'll see. This next building here is an 1860 schoolhouse. It was constructed as an outbuilding on the Bolin Murphy farm around 1860 or so. Interesting, these desks that we see here were brought from an 1820 schoolhouse in Maine. This next building we're walking towards is called the Woodard Workshop, and it was constructed way back in 1837. As we take a look inside here, we're going to see features that include such things as a puncheon floor, which is made up of rough woods from one-sided flattened floors. This building also showcases what living quarters and workplaces for a skilled carpenter would have looked like back in the 1850s and 1860s. Good. How are you doing? The Mercantile Building that we see here is what the Walmart of the day would have looked like back in the 1850s. Although this is a reproduction, it does use materials that were salvaged from other period structures during the time. This general store has basically everything a farming community would need to purchase in order to live comfortably in this part of Missouri back in the 1800s. This barn ahead of us, known as the Hermann bar, was built around 1860. It was built as a dairy barn by John and Bridget Kennedy, parents of notorious robber John Jack F. Kennedy. Today it's used for lambing in the spring and houses yearling ewes over the winter. The white home in front of us is called the Riffy House. It was constructed around 1844 and is now the administration offices here for the Living History Museum. This house is insulated with what's called, quote, nagging, which is a brick and mortar between lap siding with plastered interior walls. This small structure is a smokehouse. Meat was dried in barrels of salt for at least 6 weeks prior to smoking in sheds similar to this one. We're now headed towards the Samuel Tavern, but first up we'll see the Samuel Chicken Coop. This is home of this site's flock of heritage-bred chickens who roost in the overhanging end of the building that we see here. The bottoms of this building are on hinges and can be dropped for cleaning. We've now come to the Samuel Tavern that was constructed beginning in around 1822 in Clay County, Missouri, about 30 minutes north here of Lee Summit. The Samuel Tavern served as a post office, stagecoach shop, inn, and restaurant on the road between Liberty, Missouri and Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. The porch that we see here is known as a dog trot, which provided a cool place to rest on a warm summer day. We're now walking towards the Marsh House, which was built between 1841 and 1855. Inside, we'll see what two rooms look like back when people were living in a farming community in the mid 1800s. Blacksmith Shop here that we see is a reproduction, but it does utilize building materials salvaged from other period structures. This blacksmith shop features a working forge, hand pump bellows, and original smithing tools. We're now headed towards the Luttrell house that was built again around 1860. Armelda Dalton Luttrell, who lived in this home with her husband Samuel, was a first cousin of members of the notorious Dalton gang. According to tradition, as a good Southern woman, she couldn't refuse her cousins her hospitality and often provided them with food and shelter. Around the property, we'll also see such things as a root cellar. A root cellar is located below ground where it's cooler and help to preserve food for long-term storage. There's also a small dairy barn, as well as a hog shed. Swine not only provided food for the 19th century families, but also fat to make soap and hair for brushes. During the summer season, this particular home houses heritage breed hogs. This small one-story structure that we see here is actually a church, and it was built around 1844. The church was built for the Unified Baptist Church on land given by Captain Andrew Johnson, the first Missouri senator. It was located about a half a mile from Bee Creek, where new converts were baptized. This small building is the Cummins Office, which was built in 1880. It was originally the real estate and loan office of George H. Hughes. This large house is the Withers house. After arriving from Kentucky in 1843, the Withers family lived in a log cabin for 8 years before the completion of this much grander home. The small log structure that we see behind the home is probably the summer kitchen for the Withers family. It was probably real similar to the first log cabin that the Withers lived in, and it had a packed dirt floor and often served as a temporary residence. It's possible that this served as a summer kitchen after the grander home was built, or possibly quarters for enslaved workers on the farm. This barn today is the West Deester Bar. It was originally a horse barn, and today inside there are agricultural implements that can be seen. I hope you've enjoyed today's Wandering Walks of Wonder tour at Missouritown Living History Museum. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you on our next walk. Take care now. Bye.